What's up, everybody? James Duggan here. Joining me is Stephen Rue.
What's up?
We're going to be talking about the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 beta, specifically on the PC. Now, this is a very divisive topic. A lot of people feel differently about this. So what we've done is made a pro and con list based solely upon our experience. We both ended up grinding all the way to level 40, which is surprising. I really didn't think I would be this enthused about a Call of Duty game ever again, but hey, here we are, and we're going to run through it to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and kind of cap off with our overall impressions of the beta. And again, this is on the PC, which I think is best represented by the first Pro.
Time to kill.
Yeah, that's going to surprise a lot of people. The time to kill on console, that was kind of the primary complaint that a majority of console players had, was that the HP has been up to 150, 200 if you're using the TAC-5 with Crash, and when you factor in things like body armor, it's just too much. It takes too long to kill people. However, on the PC, where the target acquisition is lightning fast and snapping onto somebody's head is really quick, I actually think this is perfect. In previous Call of Duties like World War II, I had a big problem with how low the time to kill was. Essentially, you saw somebody, you killed them. And now there's some counterplay happening. You can turn on people, you can kill them. On the PC, at least, I was able to secure plenty of double kills and triple kills using the base weapon, an SMG or a rifle. What was your experience?
I completely agree with everything you just said. The time to kill seems perfect on PC. I did play it on console the first week it was out, and I did feel those complaints. The time to kill was a little too long, felt a little clunky to be honest, but on PC where everything is so much faster and smoother and you can just whip around and snap onto targets quicker, it felt perfect.
Yep, and I think the solution there might be per platform balance. I think Call of Duty is getting to a place, especially on the Blizzard launcher, where there is going to be a higher standard of quality expected of it than on Steam. And I think the community on PC, at the very least, will expect per platform balance. Why don't you read off our first con and tell me why it would make sense to nerf this on PC, but potentially not console?
Yeah, this is a perfect segue into our first con, which is sniper rifles. Sniper rifles have the ability to one-hit body shot kill with the right damage mods. Since you have more health, you spend more time shooting, but then you have to deal with quick scopes that can take you out with one pull of your trigger, and it's really hard to combat that because of the increased health, and you have to spray at them from a distance. So it was a pretty frustrating part to run into a team of snipers that were very well coordinated, and you just couldn't turn a corner because you just get one shot bodied.
And you and me both said this, but that made me not want to play.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
It was actually triggering.
For as much fun as we had when you would be in a game with somebody who was good at quickscoping, and you said far away, but even up close, there's a great clip I'll roll right now where I charge a guy with an SMG. It's the Cordite. It's fully kitted out, and I probably should have had it, but he was good, and before he even finishes the scoping in animation, he has killed me immediately up close. And actually there's an operator mod that makes quickscoping even better, so it's definitely like a designed for thing. However, I just don't think it flies on the PC space, and that's not something I'm particularly interested in playing, though to each their own. Let's go back to the Pro column. This is kind of a one-size-fits-all, this is a good PC port. Comprehensive graphics options, fluid controls, and dedicated servers. For the most part, my experience from a technical standpoint for a beta, granted, I think this was a little bit more of a promotional beta than something like the Battlefield 5 closed alpha, which was kind of more for testing. But it felt fantastic. It looked great. When I see console footage, it looks kind of muddy. On PC, I was blown away, and I was surprised that I was blown away visually by a Call of Duty game.
I completely agree with you. There's so many graphic options, such as FOV scale. You can turn shadows off. However, I did experience a ton of drop frames on the map Gridlock. There is actually the long middle lane on Gridlock with a down bus, and every time I'd go there, my frames would just take a huge poop. We were experiencing some disconnects, which is
to be expected, I suppose.
To be expected from a beta.
Though, I think every time a disconnect would happen, you get a little disconnect thing on the screen, and I experienced this at work, at home, you experienced this at your home, and there are definitely just some server issues. They weren't every game, but when they did happen, they were, at times, very debilitating.
Yes.
So that should be mentioned. Let's jump back over to the pros. This is one of my favorite pros, operator mods. This is something that's new to the Black Ops series. And what this is it's essentially a weapon attachment on steroids. It's like a weapon attachment cranked to 11. When you rank up your weapon all the way and you've unlocked all the attachments, you have a very long level at the end. And when you complete that, you unlock the operator mod if your weapon has one. So let's go over some examples. What essentially these attachments do is break the gun in some kind of fun and interesting way. The one that I unlocked was for the Cordite, which is an SMG that I quite like, and the operator mod is called Belt Fed, which allows 600 rounds in a single magazine.
Wow.
However, you get an overheat mechanic, so if you shoot for too long, your gun overheats, you have to let it cool down. Another one that actually Steven and I thought the guy was cheating was for the ABR, which is kind of like the Call of Duty version of an AUG. And the longer you hold down the trigger on this conventionally burst-fire weapon, the shorter and shorter the time between bursts is. So essentially, it turns into a fully automatic burst rifle, totally nuts. And finally, the LMG suppressive bullet stream, which suppresses enemies if you shoot near them, kind of like a battlefield thing. Overall, pretty interesting. There are some ones that didn't have details that I didn't unlock that I want to see more of. At the end of the day, I just love this. This is like dedication for completely committing to a weapon, and I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. It gives you incentive to grind that particular weapon. One mod that we didn't talk about that I actually unlocked was the Spitfire mod. The Spitfire is an SMG with a very high fire rate, and the mod actually gives you, I think, maybe a double increase of fire rate, which, to me personally, it was way too much. I had to take it off.
That's so funny to me. All right, let's go over the con. At the same time, while the operator mods are pretty cool, a lot of people are feeling franchise fatigue with Black Ops in general, specifically carryovers for the specialists from Black Ops 3. A lot of these specialists and a lot of their kind of ultimate weapon or super ability is essentially a direct carryover from Black Ops 3, and that has led a lot of folks to feel as though this is recycled content. Now, I think that's completely valid. I think that's completely valid criticism, especially for a game that is priced as steeply as Call of Duty, especially when they remove the campaign. I think the only silver lining here will be seeing if the Blackout mode is worth it and if the Zombies maps are good. And if that's the case, I feel like this will alleviate this a bit, but I totally understand this perspective from the community. With that said, I do want to run down some of the operators that are new, or the specialists that are new. Crash, he's got the Assault Pack and the TAC 5, which gives everybody HP. Recon with the Vision Pulse. Torque, who is only played on Seaside, which is that cancerous tower map, but still fun. And then Ajax, who I loved. You played a lot of Ajax, right?
I did play a lot of Ajax. I've also played a lot of Nomad. You can spec your operators and your specialists with different kind of perks to get your special equipment back faster, and it really lets you play the way you want to play without making it feel like Overwatch. Whereas in Overwatch, if you don't have a healer on your team has a huge disadvantage. I did not feel like that with Call of Duty, and not playing a lot of Black Ops 3, I felt revitalized playing Call of Duty. It felt super fun, and I highly recommend the game to people who are maybe thinking about jumping back into the Call of Duty world.
Especially on PC, I think this is a very good time to get back in. All right, let's go over the final con, which is body armor and armor-piercing rounds. This feeds back into that TTK argument, and frankly, this is just a weird one. So you can equip body armor, which will display on your health, and the more hits you take, the more your body armor is reduced, and of course, any shot to your body is reduced. So this furthers that time to kill problem for the console. For the PC, not as big of an issue, but it did feel like a must-include to include armor-piercing rounds, which negate that body armor to some extent, or completely fully. I'm not quite sure the specifics there. But it's just a weird, like, arms race thing, where it's like, I'm going to equip armor-piercing rounds, which are not interesting or a fun attachment, but I feel like I have to do it. And then, similarly, I feel like I sometimes have to equip body armor to not get one-shot snipered, even though you can still totally get one-shot snipered with body armor. I think that there are more interesting things I could be using.
I agree completely. I don't like when games kind of shoehorn you into certain perks or weapons because the meta, and this is a classic example of something. Everyone's running body armor, so you have to run armor-piercing rounds to kind of combat that, and I hope they do something before the actual release of the game in regards to body armor.
Yep. Armor-piercing rounds, too, I will say, is kind of interesting. Being able to penetrate some walls as well as objects, that's cool, but just the idea of negating a perk that everybody is taking, or a piece of equipment that everybody's taking, not that cool. Anyway, finally, the final pro is just our overall impressions. For me, this was a big positive. Like I said, we both grinded to 40, and I think during that time we had an absolute blast. I've been playing a lot of games like Postscriptum, like Insurgency Sandstorm, like Battlefield 5, these more tactical, methodical, think-before-you-act shooters, and I 100% love those. However, Call of Duty has this kind of reactionary primal appeal to me, where you just jump in, and it's just mindless fun. I really enjoy it. I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad that it's well supported on the PC.
I agree completely. I cannot wait for this game to launch. If you think about it, actually, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We have yet to see anything about the Battle Royale mode that is highly anticipated. We are also getting 3 zombie masks for zombie player lovers out there. And I think Call of Duty Black Ops 4 could be a pretty big player this upcoming fall.
Yes, Battle Royale, we'll see. Could be great, could be trash. But hey, you know the place you can find out? IGN.com for all things Call of Duty. Keep it right here.